All right, in this session we're going to talk about coaching the coach. Previous session, one of the biggest marketplaces for coaches to get clients is other coaches. Unlike what we traditionally think of in the business world, you know, stay away from my competitors because they're after the business I'm after, and you know, there's this great chasm between us. In coaching, it's just the opposite. And truthfully, among professionals, that's often the case. We're not talking about two grocery stores on two different corners across from each other. We're talking about professionals that actually become more professional themselves by directing their clients to the appropriate professionals who can help them in specific areas. A medical doctor doesn't tell a client who was injured in a car wreck and who needs to get the insurance cleared up that he can take care of the legal work. He knows better than that. He knows that's not his specialty. Not only is he not licensed to do it, he's not going to do a good job for his client, and he won't get paid probably. So professionals build collaborations or build teams that are more of an informal nature. In other words, we understand, we can even sign agreements and contracts between us that we will send business to one another when it reaches out of our niche into another niche. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this segment. It's a good segment. Don't fear what would appear to be competition, because the pond, so to speak, is huge. The pie has plenty of slices for everybody, but so you're not competing in the sense for $1 between three businesses or something. You're just focused on your specialty, and as you work with other professionals, they focus on theirs, and the two of you will feed business back and forth to each other. In that way, and it actually becomes a great, vibrant relationship. So, first of all, you definitely, if you're going to be a coach, you want a coach of your own, and you're going to be spending time with your own coach. And that's because a coach who is really effective because, first of all, they believe in coaching. If I don't fully believe in something to the point that I'm willing to actually practice what I preach, then it's going to come through in different ways when I'm trying to work with my clients. It's just like ministry, for example. I have always had a pastor. I have always preached, ministers, you need your own pastor. It doesn't end with you. We all need someone to submit to as unto the Lord to watch over our souls. Preachers need pastors. And so we all try to have a current pastor, in our lives to minister to us. We're not competing with each other. We're building the same kingdom. And I can't be a good pastor if I don't know how to relate to a pastor and how to, work with a pastor. So this is important in coaching too. The best coaches have a coach. There's always new things we can learn, as well as bad habits we can pick up along the way. And the ongoing challenges of nagging self-doubts that make having our own coach important. These are the things your coach will help you with, the things that you don't see. I did actually it was in coaching. I think it was in the level 2. We talked about blind spots. And that is so important. A coach can see what you can't see in your life, in your career, in your specialty. And sometimes we are blind to it, and actually it's the one thing that's keeping us from being successful. Or we may be making it, but we're not being as successful as we could be. And we just didn't realize it. We just didn't see it. And so a coach will see things, but what they see will be for your benefit because they care about you. They're trying to help you, not to pick you pieces. So you want to be professional. That means, like we talked about in the previous session, your emails, your assessments, various forms of communication are more important than we might realize. You want things to look good. You want things to communicate the spirit of who you are. And even though business is business, you also want to be able to communicate that you are a professional in that business or ministry. What's the first thing people think when they arrive at your website? Do they look at it and they say, well, I'm not sure if that's the coach I want to go to? They're going to go to the coach who presents the best website. Are you open to feedback? Your clients don't need you to be perfect, but they want to know that you're competent. It's just like a child with a father. Daddies make mistakes sometimes, but basically children feel secure in the home if they know Daddy is going to take care of me. He ain't going to do everything perfect, but he's going to take care of me. And this is the way it is with a coach. The coach won't always be perfect. Your medical doctor's not always right on target, but he still charges you. You know, he'll say, I've had my doctor tell me, well, he's in jail now, but I've had my doctor tell me many times, you know, I'm pretty sure this is what the problem is. I'm going to give you this prescription, and you call me in a couple of weeks and let me know how it's going. If that don't work, we'll try something else. And you know what? He still charged me. Even though if I came back and he tried something else, he'd charge me that time too. So we realize that even professionals don't know everything, don't always have the solution, but they care. That's the most important thing. And they are competent. They really do know how to help and get us where we want to go. Even if once in a while things don't look like it, or maybe they're just not perfect. At least their heart's in it and we're willing to trust them. Your clients don't need you to be perfect. Again, I said, they want you to be competent. There's ways that you can get feedback. You can go to, I believe it's called SurveyMonkey. Yeah, SurveyMonkey. And you can create a little questionnaire that you can send out to your clients. Or you can use Constant Contact. And there are other companies online you can use that'll even let you do these things for free. And you just email it to all your past clients. And you decide what questions you want to ask them. And just say, you know, would you recommend me to your friends? You know, could you suggest something that would have made our business relationship you know, at such and such a time when we work together, more pleasurable or easier for you. In other words, don't be afraid to let people help you. A lot of people stay in their sadness, their pain, and in their poverty because anytime somebody tries to help them, they get defensive, you know, and shut it down. Well, we have to be open to that. That's real important. And you know what you'll find? Clients will feel more a part of what you do. They'll feel more confident in your ability to do what you do when they see that you are still trainable and teachable and that you trust their input. They feel like, okay, now I've got a relationship with this professional. You know, I can help them, but they can really help me. And so it becomes a two-way street, and it can be a blessing. Be focused. Review the client's latest emails and information. This is something I learned the hard way. I learned this, that when I'm going to meet with somebody, when I'm going to talk to somebody on the phone, boy, I either go grab their file, because we have too many students. You know, I can't remember everybody and all the details. I'll go grab their file, or a lot of times I'll have specific notes because I've been talking to them, you know, maybe every week for a few weeks or whatever, and I go back and review. Most of the time, I'll read the whole string, you know, so that immediately when they refer to something I'm supposed to know, I can go, yeah, I know what you're talking about. We talked about that on this day, you know. And I'll usually even have the email string open in front of me if I'm talking on the phone. I'll keep their file in front of me, their application, all the details. And so I come across to them as being deeply concerned about them and knowing who they really are. So many times I would give an example. I took some online master's courses a few years ago at SAGU, master degree courses. And I was a number, you know? I mean, I was a number. And the only time my name was used was on my login to get online. But when I submitted papers and things, yes, you type your name in, and but you basically type your student ID in. It's a number, and they don't know you, you know. And really, once or twice is all in 2 years when I was taking some of those courses. Once or twice is all I really had to talk to an instructor when I needed to ask a question. They didn't know who I was, you know. They're like, but they got a whole string of students that they're dealing with. So, you know, and what's your student number? Or ID? And I'm giving, yeah, Lee Martin. Okay, Lee. And he don't know what else to say. You know? So he says, yeah, what can I help you with? In other words, I have to lead the conversation. It's powerful when someone knows that they're involved in something and you actually know who I am. You know what I'm doing. You know where I'm going. And so that'll really make a great impression. I try to remember and I'm not great in it, but I try to remember incidents and things in relationships about people, and especially about people that are clients and things. I try to remember when a student tells me that, I'll use a student, for example, that tells me that, well, I got my master's degree and I got it over here at Paul Quinn, and then they lost their accreditation. Well, the next time I'm talking to them and that subject comes up, I'm going, yeah, you shared that with me. You told me they lost their accreditation. And it's like immediately people go, maybe I got a better relationship with him than I thought I did. It's all about making people feel like they should feel, like they're important and like they're special. So be open to feedback, and review the client's latest emails. Refresh yourself as far as that's concerned. Spend a little bit of time in prayer before you meet with the client, or before you're going to speak, and just go over what you plan to talk about that day, and who's going to be there, and how you can be a great blessing. I often pray, even to our church on Sundays. I often pray, even if I'm not speaking or involved, I'm just here. Somebody's speaking, I pray, God, just help me to be a blessing to our people. Lord, if there's a need, help me to see it, because I know that a lot of times people don't always tell you, but help me to pick up on what you want me to pick up on and stuff like that. It doesn't take a whole lot, because God knows your heart and He hears what you're really saying. Eliminate distractions. Like we talked about earlier, be focused when you're doing something for somebody. Tell the secretary, if you have one, don't let anybody knock on the door until we're through, or close your computer so your email bell won't keep ringing, things like that. Doing other things, those are distractive, and what they do is they communicate, you're not important to me. This is more important than you and your money and your time. Listen intently using tools like reflective listening. Reflective listening is like mirroring, except mirroring includes expressions. Use the same expressions they use. If they do like this, you do like that. They don't even think about it, but subconsciously they feel like we got a lot in common. It's really weird how it works, but it works good. If they want to talk about sports and you don't know anything about sports, all you got to do is use reflective listening. Just say, oh yeah, and you comment about what little you do know, or what they said a few minutes ago, and interject it up here. Oh yeah, you was talking about a while ago because he did this, and they're like, and you're not trying to pretend like you know something you don't. What you're doing is you're showing I'm interested in you. For me personally, if it's sports, I don't know the first thing about any of it. Don't watch any of it. Don't keep up with nothing. I know very, very little. But if that's their thing, like one of my sons, that's his thing, then I try to act interested in what's important to him. What happens? Then he's interested in what's important to me. Why? Because he feels like we have a relationship. We're not just two men standing in a room, wondering when we can both leave, the type of thing. And sometimes that's the way it is. So reflective listening. It means making your client feel like they are the most important thing to you right now at this moment. The coaching session, as we remind ourselves, it's not about me anyway. It's about the client. Amen? So those are important things. Be honest. Be honest when you're with people and you're coaching. Don't try to encourage with empty praise. We all know, or we've all known people who use the same cliches over and over again. Every time you see them, it's almost like it's a rehearsed greeting. It's a rehearsed words of encouragement. And thank God for encouragement. It's better than criticism. But we also want to come across with personal comments relating to praise. In other words, say something that is unique to that person when you give them, and really the way to do that is to know about them. You know that they've been working on a certain goal, or they've been trying to achieve or accomplish something. Then you want to say, you did really good on that last test. I just wanted to really say what an awesome job you did. Well, that's personal, because they know they just took a test, and they're not just one of 100 people testing right at the moment. He's talking about me and the test I took, and that feels important to people. And a lot of this stuff people do not catch what's happening, but in the makeup of our psyche, they are fielding, and it's building connections is what it's doing. It's building connections. It leaves them with a good impression, a good feeling, a connected feeling, a relational feeling. And then that's why they come back later, and they may not even remember what you said when you encouraged them, but yet they know that something positive was deposited in me, and I want to get around this person again, So this is how they begin to feel. Recognize your fears as a coach. Are you afraid to tell the truth to your clients? You need to deal with that issue in your life, because you're not going to help your clients if you can't be honest with them. So you've got to deal with that fear. And of course, there are skills you can learn that will help you do that, and also help you learn how to confront people in necessary areas in a way that they feel like you're helping. I had a lady tell me one time, and it surprised me, because I always am concerned about the impact of my cleric temperament. Clerics are not real relational by nature. We have to learn to be. But I had a lady tell me one time, she said, it's the funniest thing. She actually worked on the staff when we had a big staff in East Texas. She said, you have corrected me several times concerning my job, and she says, and the weirdest thing is I love it, and I walk away feeling like you care about me. But I know you just got on to me. That's what she told me. This was a lady probably 20 years older than me. She worked with the children in the school. And so, I thanked God for that, because my nature would just be, especially from my background in management and things before the ministry, my nature would just be, hey, you need to stop doing this, and you need to do it this way, and I don't want to talk to you about this. That's my nature. And it's not, to me, I'm not being mean. To me, I'm just saying, this is the way it is, You can talk to me that way, and I don't think a thing about it. I'm going to do what you ask me to do. That's a choleric temperament, Okay, boss, I'll change it, and I'll go on. But the majority of people are not choleric. Majority of people, we have to learn how to say things the right way and communicate that this is really for you. This is really not about me. If they feel like they're being corrected because it's a personal thing with me and I just don't like it, they'll go ahead with it because you're the boss or the pastor or the whatever, the coach. But if you can do it in a way that, man, I care so much about you, I'm gonna share this with you, and yes, it's going to benefit me, but more than that, it's going to make a difference in your life. Then they get a different impression from it. So be reliable, if you make a commitment, just keep it. That is so important. If you set an appointment, don't be late. And also, part of coaching is teaching your clients not to be late too. Holding them to, we were going to meet at, and it's 10 minutes past that now. Okay? In other words, that's part of accountability, because these kind of things play into a lot of times why people are needing a coach in the first place. They're not just late for your appointment with them, they're late on everything in life. And they need someone to teach them that you have to live under a personal accountability. And if you need a coach to help hold you accountable so you can learn that until you get in the habit of being accountable and being responsible, then that's fine. So be reliable. And just do what you say you're going to do. If we don't do that, eventually you're probably going to lose a client. Because they're going to begin to doubt your ability and not trust you as well. Be caring. While coaching is about setting and achieving goals, don't lose sight that the relationship is vital to guiding people toward their goals. So keep the focus. The number one thing is concern to God. The number one thing to God is concern, caring about people, and communicating that caring spirit and heart. Ask yourself, am I guiding my client to look to God? Am I guiding my client to look to God? So my number one concern, and God's number one concern for people, number one thing for people is concern. He cares about people. He loves people. And then the thing that goes along with that is that the best help they can get is you're always pointing them to the Lord. You're always pointing them to Him. Amen. Recognize when it's time to push and when it's time to kind of back off a little bit or pause. There's seasons in life, and as you work with people, you'll begin to realize that sometimes they're in a season where they need to really, really tighten their focus, And then sometimes people are in a season where you need to back off a little bit and let them kind of coast for a bit, catch their breath, kind of be revived, and then there'll be a season where they'll hit it again. I noticed that in my personal life, in my relationship with God. I notice it in my relationship with people. I even notice it in the relationship with the ministry that I have. It seems like there'll be times where we are just nose to the grind. And it's like we're just working day and night. We're stepping into areas we hadn't been before. We're making leaps of faith out over the edge of the cliff, and it's like, Lord, when are we going to see the fruit of this? It's like everything's going out and nothing's coming in, and we just keep focusing. It's real tempting to want to get fearful and say, we better hold on, But I've learned that these are usually the times when the real productive stuff is happening in us and in what God's doing with us. And it's like you just have to stay with it. And then all of a sudden it's like there'll come a season in the ministry where it's like things slow down. And it's amazing because it's sometimes for us, it's like then all of a sudden we start reaping some rewards of what we worked so hard at back here and what we were tempted to, to back off or whatever. So everything is that way. You start building a coaching ministry, and it's going to be slow in first. And you're going to feel like I'm putting more into it than I'm getting out of it. But you press through that season. Then you'll have some rewards coming. And then you'll have a season where you'll enjoy, the rewards will come, you'll enjoy the rewards. And then you'll have a season where God will challenge you to go to the next level or the next phase in your ministry, in your coaching. And when you do that, it'll be another one of those, everything's to the grind and you're pushing, and then you'll come up to another place. So I think that's important to understand as a coach, that not only do we go through things like this, but our clients go through them. And we need to help them recognize the season that they're in and show that we're concerned and show that we are with them through the different changing seasons. Don't minimize or scoff at their struggles. And of course, you don't ever want to criticize them, but rather reaffirm their goals. Amen. Hold them accountable when they need to be held accountable, but we don't put them down for mistakes or failure. Amen. So a professional person is focused, they're honest, they're reliable, and they're caring. I would always start out by offering a 15-minute free consult. And this can be done over the phone or in person. This is a time where you just get to know a little bit about your client. You identify whether or not it's a good fit for you, and you review with them the cost and the length of sessions. And so in this time, you might pull out some of those resources we gave you in the beginning in level 1 and have them go through a questionnaire or two to help orient them. They can do that before they come to the session. Spend 15 minutes with them or 15 minutes on the phone. Look over the form that they filled out first, and then just ask some good questions just to make sure this is right for the two of you. And then you can go from there. And then you've already established we're going to meet once a week or we're going to meet once a month. We're going to meet once. I met with a lady last night at Whataburger, who's a student working on her PhD. And part of this new PhD program is I meet with them, and I spent about an hour with her. And then I told her, I said, then we're going to talk on the telephone. We're going to use Zoom. We're going to use Zoom in 3 months. And I said, every 3 months we will use Zoom unless you have questions or anything in between. You call me and we'll Zoom or we'll meet if we need to. But basically, I discussed with her and let her know over the next 12 months, we're going to meet at these particular times for this length of time. This is how we're going to do it. But this is true for coaching, but anytime your client needs to contact you, it's okay. They can contact you, ask questions, and you can give them feedback. And you talk about what your fee is, whatever that is, at that same time too. It is preferable that you get the full fee up front at that time. And of course, I know that depending on the financial stability of your client, you may have to work something out. But preferably, it's always better to get the fee up front. The obvious reasons is you got it, But just from a financial perspective, but another good reason is it's amazing how once people pay something and it's paid, they are able to get more out of the process without worrying about having to pay. We've noticed, and I've learned personally, that dealing with people, if people struggle financially, sometimes you have to let them pay as they go. And if that's what you have to do that. But it does bring other problems with it. And I'm not talking about whether they'll pay or not. What I'm talking about is that it adds stress to the whole situation, because every time they come, they've got this pressure on them, I got to make a payment. And with a lot of these people, they don't have the payment. So they're believing God for it, the next payment. They show up. If they don't have it, then you've got to decide, well, we're going to go with this meeting, or we're going to have to reschedule it and make them come out with a payment. And most of the time, you're going to go on with the meeting because you're there for them. And then, with a lot of people, I'm just telling you practical things you learn. With a lot of people, it's not going to get better overnight. That's why they have a coach. So they ain't going to have it next month. Now you got a problem. Now they're 2-3 months behind. And now the stress is really building on both of you, because you also have kids to feed. And they have kids to feed. And now they're not looking at one payment. They're looking at 3 months payment. And they're like, and now what happens? And sometimes this even happens the first time. If they don't have it, they don't show up for the appointment because they don't have the money, and so they don't show up. Well, that doesn't work for you, and it's not going to benefit the results they're going to get out of coaching, because they're not going to get it when they should be getting it in the way they should be getting it. So, if possible, get it all up front. It is for their benefit, really more than it even is for yours. But, when you're in the people-loving business, sometimes you just do what you have to do. And you don't always come out like you should, but that's where you just look to God for your payment and trust Him. Amen? So, let's see. General outline for coaching is just for each appointment after the first one, this is kind of how it would go. And you can do this on the phone. You can do this by email. This is a real common type of coaching, which is really interesting to me, because I guess maybe me being older, I'm more relational in the sense of when I'm talking on email, it's hard for me to communicate, back and forth. It's easier for me to talk. I'd rather talk on the phone than have to try to, communicate that way through email or texting. Matter of fact, I hate it. I hate email texting, because so many times people get the wrong message. It's not what I meant to say. It didn't, somehow they read it, and they read it different than I meant it. And so anyway, but it's real popular now. That's all I'm saying, because of this current generation. But you want to start with prayer. You want to review the pre-session preparation form. That is, if you provide one. And you want to be sure that you clarify the assignment for the next time. The brainstorming and the discussion questions basically is what you can predetermine those things quickly from a form that pre-session form that you would send to them. And then clarify what you want them to do or work on in the next session, what goals you want them to achieve. Close with prayer, and then follow up a few days later with just a nice email. And in that email, it's recommended that you summarize what took place during the previous meeting. So what it does, it brings all that information and all of that communication back to the front of their mind. It helps them to go forward with it in a more organized manner. So you can do that. And that can help you a whole lot.